Hey everybody, thanks for pressing play. In this video we're reviewing this car here. This is Hyundai Santa Fe. This is the 7-seater version. This is the automatic version. This is the 2.2 turbo diesel version, and this is actually the phase 2 version of this particular model. Hey everybody, Brian is my name, and in this video we're going to have a look around this car. This is a super exciting car. The Santa Fe was always a car that I really loved, but I have to say, if you've looked at the Santa Fe before, it is a facelift, but it is completely different. There is so much more in the car, and it is way more impressive looking and way squarer looking. Really tough and cool looking. Anyway, in this video we're going to have a look around the features that are on the outside and the inside of the car, and we're going to go for a drive of the car, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll have a better idea what this model of Santa Fe is all about. This phase 2 version is way more aggressive than the predecessors. So if you look along the bottom along here and the bottom of the grille, there's lovely brushed aluminium along through there, and also the car is just much squarer and wider looking than its predecessor. These daytime running lights are really cool looking. So if you look at the way they start off at the bottom here, there's two sections, and then they split into this higher mounted headlamp, and actually that also houses these really nice LED indicators as well, which are pretty damn cool. And if you look at the headlights, they are two lights either side, and again that makes it really one over here, one over here. It actually makes it look wider than the predecessor as well. And the full lights are in the inside one along through here, if anyone's wondering. Taillights are a nice LED setup as well, and even things like the indicators are now an LED, which are down in the bottom of the bumper here as well. Along the rear, there's also nice brushed aluminium along the bottom of the bumper, like we saw at the front, and the taillights are joined up by this red bar across the centre, which again just makes it look congruent. Even the shape of these lights, the way they move into the quarter panel, really cool. Down low, there's nice brushed aluminium along the bottom of the bumper, and that links up nicely all the way down the bottom of the doors, and that matches down to the brushed aluminium we saw at the front as well. Really cool looking car. In terms of the side profile, there's nice chrome around the windows. There's also nice roof rails which are brushed aluminium up top, and it's got 20-inch wheels. They are damn cool looking. Again, much more aggressive looking wheels than the previous model as well, and especially because they're 20s, and they're a nice diamond cut finish as well, so it looks really nice. In my opinion, from absolutely every angle now, this car is much more aggressive looking than its predecessor. These door handles have a nice chrome finish on them, and they're actually keyless for access, which we're going to see in a while as well. And on the rear of the car then, it has privacy glass, which looks nice, especially on this black car, but it's useful for keeping the sun out of children's eyes. But I think this car has become a little bit more upmarket looking, and definitely at the front, the stance and just the way that grille and the way the headlights are, it's way more like an American truck is what it reminds me of. Anyhow, let's go for a drive in the car. So you got this fob for getting in and out of the car. So like we're saying, it's keyless. So if I press the button here, it locks the car. And similarly then, if I press this button again, it'll unlock the car. Getting in and out of the car is quite nice because I suppose it's such a high car off the ground. It's easy to slide across into it, and there's a push button start. The seat for the driver is completely electrically controlled, and there's a more elaborate setup for the lumbar support for the driver as well, so you can get really comfortable in the car. There's a push button setup for the gearbox for reverse, neutral, drive and park. And I mean, the first thing you're greeted by is just literally the height of this vehicle, because this is much bigger than things like the Tucson and other cars in that segment. This is a bigger, higher car, and you feel it when you're on the road. It feels tall, and it feels like you're driving something special, and that's what I really like about this car. And I think with the quality that's in this vehicle, it's going to remind a lot of people who've had Santa Fe's before. They're going to jump into it, and it's going to feel very familiar, because it's going to evoke those memories that they had before of when they got into the other one first. Anyway, in terms of driving the car, you got these really cool clocks down here. I love this display here, which tells you where the torque is going, because it is a four-wheel drive, this particular version as well, so it tells you which wheels are getting the most power. And the clocks in the centre are really big, and even small things in through here. See the way the actual digital clocks, the rev counter disappears and brings up a warning, in this case for cold weather. You know, small things like that. I love the way the clocks are in these new Hyundais. There's so much adjustability in them. In terms of power, this car is 200 horsepower, so as you can see, we get from 0 up to 100 kilometers an hour in about 9 seconds or so. And actually, this engine is a 2.2. It has 440 newton meters of torque. So even with an automatic gearbox like this in this car, it's a really good gearbox, really enjoyable to use. But a lot of automatic gearboxes, sometimes they struggle for towing, but this one can actually tow 2 tons. In terms of how they drive on a back road, actually, some of these kind of tall cars, sometimes they can feel a bit wavy. I'm really confident driving these. You can throw them around the place on the back road and you can feel confident. Like we keep talking about, there's so much adjustability and manipulation you can do to the interior of these cars now, like ambient lighting and the digital clocks that you see in front of you. And the clocks are much bigger than they are on the Tucson and the other models. It just feels like a really special car when you're driving, because it's tall, because there's the adjustability, because it has that massive console down through the centre in here. It's a really I don't know, I really enjoy driving it. That's just me anyway. With all these adjustable clocks and screens, we're going to have a look at that in much more detail later in the video. These paddles down here also allow us to manipulate the gear shifts on the automatic gearbox when we want to drive in a more sporty, aggressive mode. But on a back road, like I'm saying, especially with four-wheel drive, but even without that, it feels nice and sure-footed. It's a car that you'll feel confident driving on a back road, and it rides all these bumps really, really comfortably as well. And you'd expect that. It is an expensive car, so you'd expect that level of comfort when you're driving along. In my opinion, the person that's going to buy this car is looking for a really good all-rounder. So they're looking for a car that can do some towing, in this case 2 tons. They're looking for a car that can actually bring 7 people, which this car can as a 7-seater. But they also want something that's upmarket, and they want something that's comfortable to drive. And this is one of those kind of cars. It's a really good all-rounder. Let's have a good look around the inside of the car then. Over here, I love the white. It's really, really nice. Yes, it's not going to be the easiest to keep clean, but you're not screwed. It looks really well. Heat controls for electrics for windows and for mirrors. And then after that, we can fold in our mirrors and all that kind of stuff from there. Over here, you will have a lane keep assist button. Your handbrake is actually located in through there. This is just traction control. And we saw already there's actually electric seats on the car. So if we want, we can set different settings. So for example, if I wanted to have it one way, I could set driver 1. And if someone else wanted their way, they could set a driver 2. So that's really, really useful. Over here then, there is controls for up through here, which is the trip computer. So if I keep pressing that button, it's changing the information. We're going to have a look at that in a sec. This is just for cruise control. This is basically to say how far do I want to stay behind the person in front of me when I'm using the cruise control. And this is just to turn on or off those safety functions. The left hand side of the steering wheel then, Bluetooth functions in through here, and just various other controls, which, and if you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, that's where you're going to ask the car for, you know, where do I want to go, or where's the closest restaurant or whatever. How about these clocks though? So there's various ways to manipulate them. I have it set that these functions actually have a correlation towards the clocks. So over here I can check to see what terrain I'm on and actually make manipulations, or over here then I can have a drive mode. So let's concentrate on the drive mode. So the comfort mode setting, you get these big white clocks. They're quite classy, and even small little details, right? Watch when I rev it. See the way the 1 gets slightly bigger, then the 2 gets slightly bigger as the needle gets close to it. It's a small thing, but actually it's just really nice attention to detail. If I move down into the next mode, which is Eco, I get these Eco clocks, which are quite nice. And then if I move down into Sport, it's a much more aggressive looking clock. And then I have the Smart version as well. And while they look really neat, they actually do change things like how the air conditioner works and throttle position and all that kind of stuff to give it either more comfortable or a more sporty drive. The other thing we now have as well is terrain. And again, the 4-wheel drive system and throttle response, they're all going to change in view to depending what kind of situation you're in. And again, that's quite useful. So as we saw over through here, we can make those manipulations in through here. I'm just going to change the clocks into a slightly darker version because it's easier to follow. Anyway, the first menu up through here, if I move down through that, attention level, so if I'm swaying around the road, it's going to detect that and it's going to warn me maybe that I should pull over. Lane keep assist functionality. The second menu then is average speed, fuel efficiency, speedo. And you know, one thing I noticed compared to the Tucson or the i20, these clocks are way bigger looking, so they are. You mightn't pick that up from the video, but they're significantly larger. Then I have controls, we'll say, or information feedback for the navigation function. And over through here then the H track, because we're in a 4-wheel drive version, so it's giving me the split of torque where the power is going, and tire pressure as well. I'm driving the urea level then, because this is a diesel vehicle, it's telling me how much of that urea is left. And the urea basically is the additive that reduces how much carbon comes out of the exhaust. You've got this big screen in through here. So let's go back into the home screen for a sec. So nice big 10.25 inch screen, touch and swipe. So map that we've seen already, or just general navigation, phone information through there. Phone projection, that's going to be Apple CarPlay or Android Auto if you want to use your own apps or Google Maps or stuff like that. Climate functionality in through here. Some of these I will go into much more detail in other videos. I just want to have a quick flick through for the moment, just for anyone that's considering buying the car so they know what's there. Radio's there, or media if you want to play different music. Cool little things like sounds of nature, so you can, you know what, it's kind of cool. So it is, it's kind of stupid and it's kind of cool as well. But you know, if you're driving along and it's cold evening and you had the old warm fireplace going in the background, it's not a bad thing, it's fun. So as you can hear, got the fireplace going in the background, or I can have the ocean waves, or a rainy day. Mad really. After that then, value mode, I haven't even tried that yet, so okay, we haven't got Blue Link set up. Passenger talk, front something like, okay, fine. That is damn cool actually. That means you can talk to the people in the third row. That's mad. Wow. Okay, really impressive. After that then, quiet mode. Which means actually if you have people sitting in the back, it won't play any music back there. Yeah, okay, look, you can do that in all cars, but it takes a lot of work just to move around the equaliser, whereas that's pretty straightforward. Blue Link, I'm going to go into that in much more detail in another video, but I still have to study it. The manual of the car is in through there, and just general settings. The settings are all the things that you would want to change, which is do with phone and general displays and sounds and all that kind of stuff as well. The reverse camera's in through there, and it's also then giving you the map around the car just to tell you if there's anything that you're close to. The dash is very airplane-like. I think it's really nice and it's really upmarket. So over here, we got some hard buttons, which are the volume. You got things like navigation and map and all that kind of stuff. Again, do you know what? All those buttons are here, but these are just the hard, quick versions of them. Same thing again with the heating controls. So front and rear windscreen demisters, automatic air conditioning, speed up or slow down the fan, driver side temperature, passenger side temperature. We've seen the drive modes in through here already, auto stop start. We have a heated steering wheel. We have heated seats in the front here, and there's also ventilated seats, so they are going to blow cold air, whereas this one here is going to actually heat the seat up. Over to here then, you have your parking sensors, hill descent control, and the other cool thing is when you're driving along, you can press this button here, and it leaves the camera on when you're driving forward, so you can use the camera to look behind you while you're driving. So from a pragmatic point of view, the boot is absolutely crap, unless you let the seats down. That's just the nature of 7-seaters. But actually, once you drop the 2 rear seats, they're quite easy to drop. And do you know what I really like? Check out this funky little button here, or actually 2 of them. You can press this one here, and it drops the right-hand side. And you can do the same for the left-hand side, and it drops that. Now you've got a massive load space in the back for occasional use, which is really useful. And actually, one thing, the rear passengers these days also get a USB connector. Somebody in Hyundai was actually using their head. There's also a speaker down in the back because it is a premium audio system that's in the car. And while none of the 7-seaters are easy to get in and out of, you have this button here, and there's also a similar button up high which allows us to access the rear. In terms of space in the back of the car, well, it is a 7-seater car, and as far as I can see, there's absolutely no good 7-seaters when it comes to space. So what I can do is press the button up on top of the seat, oops, pull it back, press the button, and it slides back in place fine. So if I had the seats all the way back, it is pretty damn cramped. So I've got my knees here, but look how high they are up, look at the angle that they are, and then seat. So that's what I'm saying with anyone that's looking at one of these, and if I want to get out, I just press this button again, which is really handy, and I can pop back out. But for anyone that's looking at a car like this, these 7-seaters, they are for kids, small kids, maybe up to maybe 10 years of age, something like that, or very occasional adult use. In terms of access though, I have to say it's not bad, but if you're looking for a really good 7-seater, you're much better off going for something like a Galaxy or something that was intended to be a 7-seater in the first place. Just letting the seat back, we have the buttons that we saw already, or I can just use the bar underneath. It's my opinion that these are brilliant 5-seater cars and occasional 7-seater cars. Top header here, storage in through here, USB connectors down through here, and there's also ventilation for the rear passengers in through there. How about that interior though? That is really classy and upmarket, and I love that grey interior, especially on the doors as well. And if you look even in through here, there's also heated seats in the rear along through there with 2 stages. And just the way the speakers are shaped, they kind of correlate to the shape that's on the seats in the back. It's classy, it's upmarket looking, it looks really nice, and it feels lovely as well. There's also an armrest in through the centre in here with some storage and some drinks holders as well. And it's just a nice place to be, a massive amount of space. And those seats are adjustable as well in the rear too. In the front, it's a similar kind of setup, lovely upmarket texture on the seats and the doors. And it's just a nice place to be. And actually one thing, check this out, electric seat adjustment for the passenger side. And here's something that actually gets overlooked in a lot of videos and just in general, the passenger seat for these cars. You can adjust the height, that's fine, and the dash is way lower than it used to be. So that means when you're sitting in the car looking forward, you've actually got a really good view. And in this case, I actually had the seat kind of lower down, and actually there's a lady that had looked at this car when it came out first, briefly, and she just said into the passenger seat, and she said, do you know what, actually there is a really, really good height adjuster on it, and it's just something I hadn't really copped onto. So when you're sitting up here, the visibility really is excellent because the dash is low, and also because the height that they can get to in this passenger seat. Down in here then, there's a small bit of storage with some ambient lighting, and then we've got a glove box down through here. And actually one thing that's visible on this side, I forgot to mention earlier, there's 2 USB connectors in the front for the front occupants. And it's just a lovely dashboard. If you're in the front passenger or driver's side, it's just a nice place to be. So, Brian's my name. If there's any information you want on one of these cars, please do call, text, WhatsApp, whatever suits, 086 843 1945. If you want information about this really super cool looking Jeep, or if you want information about trading in your own car, or if you want information about scrapping a car or financing or whatever it is, please do not hesitate to give me a shout. I will do our best. We deal with people all over the country, from Donegal down as far as Kerry and Galway across to Dublin. The other thing is, if you're watching on YouTube and you think the video is useful, please do like and subscribe, or more importantly as well, let me know if I've missed something in the comment section below, and I'll do my best, because I always answer whoever sends in messages, and if there's some sort of request that I've missed in the video, I'll make another video for you just to show you. Anyway, hopefully the video's been useful. Hopefully the car's of interest, because it is absolutely savage looking. I love it. It's really cool looking. Massive improvement on this facelift, and it's a really cool looking vehicle. Thanks for taking time to watch.